want to say to this like new flex operation mocking pastor. Why don't you focus on being more honest as a pastor and giving as much information as you can possibly provide so that we can continue this investigation? If you can't do this, I'm going to have to ask for your silence. Okay?
Be quiet.
Having seen what has happened over the course of the Charlie Kirk investigation that she has single-handedly decided is for her to do, and it's her burden to bear, I've been so appalled by the way she has behaved that it has really made me question everything she said, but then also made me question what was wrong in my heart that needed to know all the dirt, you know? It's my pride. I just wanted to know what was really true. And not because I loved the truth so much, but because it made me feel powerful to have the facts and I wasn't going to be deluded. Hello, how are you? Welcome to my channel. My name is Cheer Denise. I will not take too much of your time. I just wanted to make sure that I made a video about this, and I hope you can stay for the end, at least for the beginning, because that's the real part I want you to hear. What I want to tell you today is that I'm really sorry. I just want to apologize from my whole heart to you, because over the weekend I began to feel a lot of conviction that I've shared stories on my channel that I did not know to be 100% fact, and I shared them with you as though they were God's honest truth. And I was wrong to do that. Specifically, I've been convicted that I shared the story about Brigitte Macron and acted as though I had some kind of insight into the reality of this person's life that I couldn't possibly have. The story of Brigitte Macron having met Emmanuel when he was 14 and she groomed him and is now married to him is wild enough. Many documents show it. He's spoken about it. She's spoken about it. His family's spoken about it. That's fact. And it's been a story that people have known his entire public life. That the relationship he has with his wife began when he was 14. That's wild. But for me to behave as though that story wasn't wild enough, I had to go off into realms unknown and repeat to you stories that I had heard was wrong. So over the weekend, I took down every video I could find where I had talked about that, and I just I just put them on private because I don't want those videos out there anymore. I was really convicted that I had taken as the gospel truth things that Candace Owens had said to me with so much conviction that I just assumed she was right. But I don't blame Candace. I blame my own prideful heart that thought, I need to know what's really going on in the world. I wanted to believe so much that I had the inside scoop that I was not only willing to believe it myself, but then peddle it to you as though there were facts and as though there were actual receipts for all the stuff that is, quite frankly, supposition. Some of the things that she shared, I didn't even get into because I wasn't really sure how to explain it, but I would have if I could have figured out how to explain it. And I was ashamed. One of the videos I ended up taking down was the best performing video I've ever made. And all I could see there was shame when I looked at those numbers, thinking over 600,000 times people watched me say things I wasn't even sure if they were true. I didn't have firsthand knowledge. I didn't have firsthand account. Nobody had said any of this to me. I'd never read any primary sources, but I had the gall to tell you that it was true. And I'm really, really sorry that I did that. It's not new to me to have to come to you guys and say, I'm sorry about this, that, and the other. I feel like most of the time, I'm like, oh, I got this wrong. I'm sorry about that. But I just want you to know that this is a channel that you can come to, that if I make a mistake, I will come to you and say, I was wrong to do that. Now, I don't know. It might come out that everything I told you was true and that everything Candace Owens shared in her series was the God-honest truth and that everything that she shared was 110% accurate. However, having seen what has happened over the course of the Charlie Kirk investigation that she has single-handedly decided is for her to do, and it's her burden to bear, I've been so appalled by the way she has behaved that it has really made me question everything she said, but then also made me question what was wrong in my heart that needed to know all the dirt, you know? It's my pride. I just wanted to know what was really true. And not because I loved the truth so much, but because it made me feel powerful to have the facts and I wasn't going to be deluded. You know, that's really what it came down to. I think so much of the time, my bent towards conspiracy really comes because I want to have the inside scoop. I don't want to be a dummy, I want to know who's really running the world. But if it means that I'm willing to swallow something hook, line, and sinker because it makes me feel powerful to have the inside scoop, then what kind of intellectual am I? Again, it might be that everything she said was true, but I don't know if it's true. And I felt compelled to take down those videos. If any of you guys come across a video, maybe like a Friday News Roundup or something, where I reference it even in the slightest, please tell me, and I will just put that video on private as well. I think I've been particularly appalled by Candace Owens' behavior because I think a lot of us thought that, well, some of her reporting was certainly unorthodox. We had come to believe that she had sources and references that we just didn't have because our network wasn't as big, but that surely she was telling us the truth because look at the way she was telling it to us. And there was always a part of me that felt, and I've said this to you all, I even said it when I gave the reporting about it, about the Brigitte Macron story, that I sometimes felt that she was basing things off of her ability to say something with conviction rather than with the facts. And the number of times she referenced a source but never told us who the source was, or said that she'd get back to us but hasn't. But because she said it with authority, I know I just believed it. But she has made claims that were baseless. And specifically with this Charlie Kirk situation, I've already shared my feelings about the fact that I believed she needed to sit on the investigation until they'd had the dignity of burying him. And this idea that in Erica's grief, she had to rise up and find the energy to tell Candace Owens to be quiet if she wanted Candace Owens to be quiet. Erica's not supposed to be planning the funeral and the memorial service. She's supposed to be caring about what all the goons online are saying about her dead husband, and supposed to be making specific calls and telling people specifically, I agree with that narrative, I don't agree with that one. I mean, she doesn't have the time for that, And of course I was upset when Candace Owens said that Charlie Kirk was too smart to be a Protestant because that's just divisive. But there's all these people who are shooting down Candace Owens' narrative. And most recently, there were two things that I saw this weekend that I just thought, man, I have trafficked with the wrong person and I owe you all an apology. Candace Owens became belligerent when Charlie Kirk's pastor came out and publicly said that it would be good if Candace Owens didn't talk anymore about the assassination.
Here's what he wrote, okay? What's his name? Rob McCoy. He wrote, Charlie Kirk was my friend and I was his pastor. I want to simply say this regarding Candace Owens. Charlie Kirk was a friend to Candace and never publicly spoke poorly of her, though he disagreed with her. He never operated nor entertained gossip or innuendo concerning Candace. My only comment I offer regarding Candace is this. I only wish at this tragic time of mourning, she would be the friend to Charlie Kirk that he was to her. He would never have treated Candace or her family in such a way had, God forbid, this tragedy been hers. A friend loves at all times. And he drops a biblical proverb.
You would have thought this pastor had showed up at Candace Owens' house and put her in a chokehold for the way that she responded.
I want to say to this new flex operation mocking pastor, obviously investigating this, and I'm not going to let it go, okay? You're not going to emotionally use some jujitsu, and I'm referring here to Roy or Rob McCoy, who says, I'm Charlie's pastor, and here's the truth, or whatever it is, to look the other way right now, okay? You're not going to tell me that I have to feel too bad to investigate who shot my friend in front of my face.
I just have to say, he wasn't shot in your face. He was shot in Erica's face. So
I hope that Charlie would have been the sort of friend that I'm being. Okay? He would have never. Why? Why wouldn't Charlie Kirk have investigated if I had been killed and we were being so obviously lied to? I think you're wrong. I think Charlie was a real friend and he would not have dropped it. He would not have let it go. Least of all, because he was being emotionally manipulated by a guy who curiously kept his mouth shut when Bibi lied. You knew, if you were really his close friend and pastor, how he was feeling about Bibi Netanyahu. You knew, if you're his close friend and pastor, exactly the names of everybody who was intimidating him and how poorly they are misrepresenting the things that he believed. So why don't you focus on being more honest as a pastor and giving as much information as you can possibly provide so that we can continue this investigation? If you can't do this, I'm going to have to ask for your silence, okay? Be quiet.
And if you can't do this, I'm going to have to ask for your silence. Okay? Be quiet.
girl, pump the brakes. I mean, what is that rage and indignation? He wasn't mean to you. He wasn't rude to you. All he said was, could you wait? Which is the same thing I was saying the other day. No one's saying you can't have a voice. No one's trying to shut down your free speech. No one's trying to say that you can't have all your crazy conspiracy theories on the side. We all have a free voice, or at least we used to. But for her to be freaking out like that at the pastor and then telling him to be quiet. Please take your own advice, lady. Right? Could you get a mirror and say that again? Because I need to understand why she's saying all the things I just wish somebody would say to her. You need to sit down. You need to be quiet. You're not telling the truth. You're being dishonest. She says that she's such good friends with Charlie Kirk. Then how come you didn't follow him on social media? How come you used to, but you don't anymore? How come you just started following his wife like a couple days after the assassination? I just don't believe you. How can you say that somebody was being so dishonest when you have misrepresented the closeness of your relationship to Charlie Kirk this entire investigation in order to get people to buy in to your right to discuss it? You have lied to us this whole time. Nobody's saying you didn't have a relationship with him, but was it this close? And, may I also say that if it's this close, that if you were grieving Charlie Kirk to such an extent that you felt it necessary to post pictures and videos to talk about, I just am reading through his text messages to comfort myself, and here's all these pictures of he and I dancing back before, when we were on the come up and back before he knew Erica. Honestly, it feels like she's in competition for her public grief, beside Erica. It feels, I saw somebody say this the other day, this feels like angry ex-girlfriend energy. And I don't know, you have a crush on the guy or something? Like, what is the problem here? Why do you feel like you need to publicly exercise your devotion for him when we know by every verifiable metric, every person who was in a close relationship with him can say unequivocally that you two were not like this? But if he were like this, according to how you say, why then is this your reaction to the idea of going to his memorial?
I said there is no way we are going to this event now. There's a 0% chance. First and foremost, why are you saying but anybody can go to it? You just buy a ticket to the event, and you're all working to try to get me to confirm that I'm going. And you're doing this as if you're trying to push my buttons and be like, we got to make her get into her ego so she shows up and posts it on social media. Nope, actually. While I'm attacking the feds, maybe not going to a public event, which the feds are organizing, is probably a very good idea. I'm good. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to listen to Power on my headphones and go see Ye. How's that for a memorial for Charlie Kirk? That feels like the right thing for me to do right now. I'm not going to this memorial because it's strange.
You guys, is she for real right now? She wants to put on her headphones and go listen to Ye. She wants to listen to a song specifically that is all in service to self. I'm powerful. I'm amazing. Everyone's going to try to stop me, but no one will. It certainly is her personal anthem for sure. But that's how you want to remember Charlie, by going to hang out with a guy who you were really impressed with yourself for being friends with him, even though everyone else is like, that crazy Nazi? You want to go hang out with this complete anti-Semite by yourself. I don't know where George Farmer, your husband, is, or your 4 kids, but forget them. Because right now, you want to go be in your feelings and go listen to songs that glorify you and your power, and you want to go hang out with Kanye West. And that's how you think you're going to honor Charlie's memory? Why? Because one time you and he did a couple events with Kanye when he was professing Christian? You want to reach into the way back memories, This whole thing feels like she's playing out an alternate reality. Did she like Charlie? Did she imagine she'd end up with him? Is she trying to grieve? Is she grieving an alternate reality? I don't know. That's probably too much. I shouldn't have said that. But the insistence that she has that she's the only one that could ever know. And I was particularly put off by this video that she made regarding the fact that she had coerced somebody from Turning Point, the guy who took down the footage behind Charlie when he was shot. And Candace just couldn't wait to see the footage. She had to see the footage. Now, I don't know about you, but many of us were completely ambushed by the footage of Charlie's murder. None of us would ask to see that again. Ever. But certainly if you were his dear friend, who would want to see another angle of the gore? But what she's concerned about is that it's not gory. What's that about, you guys? Where's the blood? Where's the blood, you guys? I'm like, I'm sorry. All over the front of him? It's just not bloody enough for her.
Two men that look rather mysterious. They appear, they move his chair, and they take down the camera that's directly or was directly behind his head. Why did they do that? You can see, slow down here, he pulls out the chair. He stands on it, and yes, that would be a big no-no for a crime scene. You don't move anything. Who is that? Like, actually, I should be able to figure this out because I've got a pretty big network at Turning Point USA. The person's wearing shades. I'm not recognizing the individual. And I reach out to somebody on the inside and I'm just like, who's this person? And they tell me the person's name and I go, oh, wait a second. And I look again. I'm like, I know this person because it's been a few years, but I know this person. This person's been around Turning Point for quite some time. And I'll say this right now. He was extremely forthcoming. Like, as soon as I reached out, I just sent a text because I still had his number. And he was extremely forthcoming, immediately got onto the phone. Then I asked, okay, well, what about this camera thing? Why would you grab the cameras? And he says, because the first thing that I thought is that I better secure the footage and be helpful and hand that footage over to the feds. Well, obviously, that's where things get into a pickle with me because we don't trust the feds. I'm like, just send me the footage. Please let me look at it. There's a lot of conspiracies that are floating around right now. People don't know what to believe. I said, look, I'm not going to publish it. I just want to see it. And I think you should let me see that because people trust me. They know that I'm very serious about this. So in the short run, he agrees that rather than send the footage, he will get onto a FaceTime call with me and he will show me the footage on his computer. He did that, and I watched the footage, and I'm going to tell you what I saw. First and foremost, there is nothing gory about this shot at all. And so, again, I am still going to work with him to get me the footage so that I think it should be shared. There's nothing gory about this footage from the back. The thing that really stood out to me, and I just kept asking him to replay it over and over and over again, is that there's no blood.
Kept asking him to replay it over and over and over again, is that there's no blood.
From the back. I'm very confused, not by what I saw, but what I didn't see. Okay? That's pretty much all I can tell you right now.
But see, if she'd waited long enough, she would have found out that the surgeon said that the bullet went through his neck and then miraculously the bullet didn't come out the other side. It should have. This bullet could kill an elk. And that was this miraculous event that the surgeon talked to Erica about. And then that has come out over time, that there was no exit wound, that the bullet had lodged in Charlie, making sure that all the people who were standing behind him on the other side of the tent didn't get killed by that stray bullet. But see, she looked like a goon sitting there being like, where's the blood? That's really interesting. I have questions. I have a lot of questions. Yeah, so do I, Candace, as to why you would want to see more blood and gore. Why you would twist the arm of the guy who took down the footage. And you had all kinds of questions. I mean, you were just like, before she ever found out that it was somebody that she trusted, because initially it didn't look like somebody she knew. So she had all kinds of shade to throw at this person who was potentially getting in the way of a crime scene. Once she finds out that it's someone she knows, then she won't leave the guy alone until he finally FaceTimes her and shows her the footage that he currently has, but he's not willing to send her. I've seen the footage, you guys. And the footage, I don't understand it. It's not gory at all. Well, praise the Lord for that. I'm glad that you didn't have to see another angle of your friend's death, since he was so dear to you. This is a person who has just dealt with this in a really sad way. And I know that because she likes to investigate things and this is such a horrifying thing that you would probably go to your toolbox and use the tools you're most comfortable using. But nobody seems in her inner circle seems to have the will to tell her to stop. And unfortunately, she has an entire cult of personality who will defend her to the end. I've seen them. They've been in my comment section. And you know what? Some of y'all are particularly mean. I don't think that being hateful and cruel towards somebody who questions Queen Bee is helpful to your psyche. Because it is good to be able to say, you know what? She might have gotten this one wrong. And some of you may want to continue to follow everything she does and says. And, maybe you don't completely agree with the way she handled this Charlie Kirk thing, but she was totally right about this other stuff. That may well be. But you know what? For me and for my house, I don't think we're going to be following Candace anymore because I feel like this is a person who has let the pride of ego cripple them at a time when, you know what, there is a lot of corruption going on in the world. For sure. I don't disbelieve every conspiracy I've ever believed, but we have to be careful that we're not just seeing everything as some giant conspiracy. And coming out and trying to include Charlie Kirk's assassination in her distrust and dislike of Israel is such bad thinking. When you have Nick Fuentes coming out, like, it wasn't Israel, Candace, you have lost the plot. So I just wanted to say to you guys, I apologize for perpetrating a conversation, telling you guys stories, insinuating somehow that I knew this story to be so true I was willing to tell you. I didn't know. And I was only going off of the storytelling of somebody else that I heard. She could be totally right. But I just feel like I want to be able to be a person that you can trust. And I want to be a person who, if I get something wrong, I'll tell you. You know, in the last video, I said that Eric Bolling, who had been on a clip, you know, I said that he was a Turning Point USA board member because that's what he said. And all these people being like, oh, you're a dishonest person. You know, Candace says that he isn't. Well, he's what's considered an honorary board member, and I think he felt that he was being honest when he said that. He's still very much involved. And I got wrong the fact that Candace Owens had been on a speaking tour and had done a tour with them last year, though she wasn't invited to the same speaking tour this year. But as recently as last year, she had done an event with Turning Point USA. So, you know, when I need to correct something, I will. And I want to be a source of information for you that doesn't just feel like, oh, she's just peddling the same narratives or the same crazy stories everybody else is. I want this to be a place of truth where I can. Doesn't mean we won't still have fun and talk about interesting things. We always will do that. But just if I sense that I'm just peddling some gobbledygook because wouldn't it be weird and cool? Don't you want to know too? Like, I just need to be more careful about that. So I'm just sorry for anybody who watched any of my videos and felt like I was telling you something that I knew to be 100% correct, which I didn't know to be 100% correct. And the Brigitte Macron story is wild enough on its own. I didn't have to buy into, believe, and then propagate a certain narrative that she's also was born a man. Maybe she was, you know. Candace does have a lot of compelling talk about it, but I don't know that to be a fact. And how dumb would I feel if later everything came out and I just sat here in my little closet and was like, and guess what, guys? And guess what, guys? You know, how pathetic of me. So again, if you find any videos where I was talking about Brigitte Macron and I've, you know, neglected to take them down or didn't remember I talked about in that video, please comment below and I'll make sure that I take those down. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.